beautiful.
Courageous.
Massive. We were tall, dude.
Young. Loyal. He was just loyal as hell.
Wonderful.
Rockstar.
True.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was just another one in the list, and it just hurts like a bitch every time.
So we were in high school, and when we used to smoke outside of school, we eventually got chased away from behind the electrical shed down to the sort of opening of the woods. And we were there one day, and my granny and granddad came strolling down towards the bus stop, and I panicked, and I jumped down to the ground and kind of army crawled behind a bin. The bell had rang, and Deans and Jack were both looking at me like I'd lost the absolute plot, but they both solidly stood there looking like absolute idiots, leaning against the bin, trying to hide me until the bus came to pick up my granny and granddad, and then both walked me back to school. It sounds really stupid and unimportant, but it was funny at the time.
We used to look up at the views, we used to bring our music. You know, like the summers were amazing, the most memorable parts of my life. You know, it was, you know, like the days spent were like the most memorable days of my life, you know, and I cherish it for the rest of my life. You know, like I couldn't have picked a better person to have spent my adolescence with. You know, like we bounced ideas off each other. You know, like it was really special. You know, and we were a bit edgy together. We were both misunderstood. Do you know what I mean? And that really helped each other. It was therapeutic. You know what I mean?
He wanted to be his own person, which I think is commendable because it's all too easy just to follow everybody else. And I think that was a particular strength of Dean's. Very true to himself.
I think Dean's was probably in about first year at high school, and in woodwork class they were making a train, a child's toy train. And Dean's had come home one day and said that, you know, the train was finished and the teacher wanted them to paint it primary colours, and he didn't want to paint his train. And he explained this to the teacher because Dean's had said he wanted to be able to see the natural grain of the wood. And so he came home and he was telling me this and asking my opinion, and I said, of course, well, it's your train, you know, if that's, he just wanted to wax it. So he went back and said to the teacher, and this went back and forward for a few weeks because the teacher wanted him to paint the train, and obviously I knew this was about the teacher ticking a box to say the whole class had done the same thing. And he wanted to wax it, and then I said, well, why don't you ask your teacher that? And he came back and said, the teacher said he'll let me varnish it. So varnishing would have been the, you know, the teacher would have thought that would let the natural wood shine through, and Dean's had said, well, that's not really the look that I was looking for. I wanted to see the grain of the wood. So it went back and forward for a few weeks, and eventually the train came home. It was sitting on the fireplace in the house, and it came home unvarnished and, you know, didn't have any finish on it, and Dean's waxed it in the house and left it there. And I always feel that that was very young. He was about first year, it might have been second year at high school, but I think that kind of depict for me Dean's being Dean's. You know, he could see the natural beauty of the wood, didn't want to cover that over with paint.
We've all got the one thing in common, and I think because of that it makes us rely on each other a little bit, and we help each other. I mean, that's a huge thing about the biking community. So when we lose one, it's somebody's taking something away from that family.
But do you think that these deaths changed the way you would ride at all?
No.
No, not at all.
If they did, I'd stop riding. You try desperately to grab onto the last time that you saw them, and that's not always easy to do sometimes with the volume of people we get in here, as you probably know. But you try desperately to get the last time that you saw them, and were they in the other day or was it a couple of weeks ago, you know, and that's hard. Because in your head, you should be giving them more priority, but at the time you can't give them that priority because you don't know what's coming.
Do you think these deaths have changed the way you ride?
No, not at all. I would never have any fear after it because
I think anybody that does, if you were going to, well, I could say if I was going to go, I'd want it to be doing something I loved. And I think everyone's got that mindset as well, so it doesn't, maybe be a bit more careful the next day, but apart from that, it comes natural, so it wouldn't change the way I would ride at all. There's no real way to explain it. It's just a family. It's a massive family. We all know that, you know, that day you're leaving, you're setting a risk yourself anyway. And I don't know, it's just a family. It's just we all know what we're putting ourselves in for the day that you go out on your bike.